Hi traders, the Brexit process has started. Today, the Article 50 has been triggered by Great Britain, the United Kingdom, by its Prime Minister, May. And we're going to take a look at the Brexit impact on the Great British Pound, of course, against the dollar, but also against some of the other currencies. This is the Pound USD 4-hour chart, and the Brexit process has occurred, but is not creating a lot of price action as yet. There's, of course, some volatility. Price did decline yesterday in advance or prior to the Brexit result, and that's not so surprising. There was a huge trend here on the Pound USD, and the price broke through the support trend line and is making some retracement. That's not so unusual, of course, after a trend like that to see a retracement, especially before a big news event like that. Some profit taking probably taking place, and we saw a pretty steep decline. Now price is making kind of a correction. This is at the moment basically between the pivot point and the S1, a couple of candles already in between those zones, and I think that there's a good chance that price will actually make a retracement first up to the 50.61.8 fib and then turn around back down to the minus 272 target or minus 61.8 target. This is what I'm waiting for at this moment. I think that larger structure at this moment on the pound is that this could be the end of a final wave V. In that case, price might make a three-wave down and then a three-wave up to finish wave V, and then perhaps start a new last push to lower on the pound. That's what I'm expecting at this moment. Let's see if that happens. What my plan at the moment is primarily is to keep an eye on the 50.61.8 zone for candlestick patterns on the pound, bearish candlestick patterns Thursday the 30th and Friday the 31st, or even Monday the 3rd and Tuesday the 4th of April. All right, I'm keeping an eye on this zone. Price should not break above this top, of course. Otherwise, in that case, the bearishness is out of the window because I'm expecting this three-wave down. And if it breaks above 126.14, well, then that's not happening. Or if it breaks below this bottom, of course, then there could be a breakout to the minus 272 target and minus 61.8 target. I would then have to zoom into lower time frames to look for kind of patterns, bear flags, for instance, a break, bear flag, and a continuation down to those targets. Other pound pairs, well, the pound yen is at the S1 weekly, and basically it could be a bouncing spot at this moment. Bounce or break, I would say, at this spot. It looks like a decent chance it will break, considering the fact that price has broken through a pretty nasty consolidation zone that has lasted for quite a while. But let's see. I'll keep an eye on the 4-hour chart basically to see if price can basically close below the S1 there. That's very important. You can see how long and tight this zone has been. Not so interesting to trade, but the break, pullback, continue is happening. So I want to see if price can close below the S1 with a decent candlestick pattern to basically get a continuation down to the S2. These are weekly pivot points from Admiral Markets MetaTrader 4 Supreme Edition. Last but not least, the Euro Pound. Well, basically Euro Pound fighting against the resistance trend line here, and if this candle holds and is bearish like this, then we could see probably an ABC correction lower. In fact, that would be a bit surprising considering today's event, but it could happen. Let's see how today's candle closes. If today's candle is bullish and ends up at the R1, I think that tomorrow we could see a breakout. So if today's candle is an indecision, then I would just stay out of the Euro Pound myself. I'm looking for a candle close near the low or near the high to give me an indication of who was in control of today's candle. All right, that's what I'm looking for. Breakout to the upside, or a retest in a way of the support bottom here of the bigger triangle that is indicated by the red lines. So all in all, the Brexit process, of course, was bound to be less shocking than the referendum itself. Price is moving along. I think technicals will start to kick in again, and as this event kind of gets behind us, especially tomorrow, I think that, of course, there could be news events to keep an eye on, but this big Brexit news event would then be more or less behind us. Of course, the negotiations themselves will have their impact as well. That's something to keep an eye on. But all in all, I think that technically speaking, the pound dollar does look weak, but not as massively volatile as perhaps the Brexit process would have lead you to think. All right, and that's something we also discussed live at the Admiral Markets webinar. All right, thanks so much for joining this video, and take a look at our YouTube channel, of course, for more upcoming videos and information. Talk to you soon. Cheers.